Hello everyone, grace and peace. I am Father Norman Peña of the Society of Saint Paul, also currently Director of Saint Paul Seminary, one of the higher education institutes here in the Philippines. Other than performance tasks and benchmarks has often been the catchword in Philippine Educational System. A number of our schools actually participate in exchange programs, either going outside nationally or internationally. Coming back home, we reflect on these experiences and benchmarks in view of our own way of learning and highlighting convergences and divergences. In coordination with Saint Paul Seminary, the CBCP Episcopal Commission on Culture, and Saint Paul University Manila Faculty of Education, I'd like to present to you a study regarding the issues and problems that educational leaders and managers actually face in today's time. The aim is to underline possible avenues wherein education in the Philippines can be in the future, if it is not yet, benchmark itself for other countries. Methodology and structure of the presentation will be free-flow, conversational exploratory interviews of key people in the education industry, anchored on 5 conversational questions. The interviewees include the main presenters during the Subcom SEAP Convention in Davao in 2017. Namely, the people are Attorney Faustino Madriaga, Dr. Doris Fernandez Ferrer from the University, Executive Director of PAYAP and FAPE, Dr. Gregory Banyaga, and Don Timothy Buhain. They are also joined by the officials of CHED, namely Mr. Mark Carol G., Attorney Lily Freda Milia, and Dr. Emilio Yanga. Special thanks especially to Sister Felicitas Bernardo and also Coach Prince Germano and the whole SEAP Subcom group for the joy shared, support, and also guidance. I hope we can all discover the treasure of Philippine education in the midst of the challenges and issues. May this conversation, may this presentation as well be a beacon of hope to reach education's noble end.
Narito ako sa harap mo, Jesus. Nagbago ang lahat sa pamamagitan ko. Ako'y tumutugon sa...
I am Attorney Faustino R. Madriaga Jr., an educator. I'm a lawyer, but I prefer to be an educator. One of the problems affecting many schools now is the breakdown of discipline. The anti-bullying law and the anti-child abuse law are very good laws, except that there have been many parents who have misunderstood the meanings of, for example, the anti-bullying law. We talk of anti-bullying as a willful, aggressive behavior or conduct. But many instances, parents complain against things that are happening in schools, and they file cases against teachers, against school administrators for perceived acts of bullying, when in truth and in fact, they are only games of the students themselves. And so many faculty members or administrators are using time to prepare for cases rather than to prepare for educational activities. Okay, so that is one. If we can only have more discipline in schools, then we will have a better teaching learning process. Okay? And of course, labor is also one of the problems of our schools. Teaching is not just the ordinary bread and butter of many of other people. Teaching is an apostolate. If you don't have your heart in teaching, then you will be unhappy in the field of teaching. So we cannot count the benefits of teaching only from the money, from the financial aspect of it. But unfortunately, in many instances, especially smaller schools in the provinces, they cannot get the wherewithal to operate and maintain the good name or the reputation of the school. So they are left shortchanging sometimes their teachers, or not paying well, or not maintaining discipline, or not maintaining the facilities of the school. So financial assistance from everybody. I also call, for example, on the big donors. Unfortunately, these big philanthropists, these good philanthropists, aren't helping schools. Oh, but if you look at it, they are helping the big schools, the millionaire schools. But schools in the provinces, schools in the parochial schools cannot get. They are only depending on the tuition fees paid by their students, and they are very minimal. While you will see some big schools, big buildings donated by so and so with all their names there. Like, for example, UP was able to get a grant from the big businessmen. So I only hope that there will be a system for these institutions or these people to really also help financially the smaller schools. Because in the final analysis, it is the smaller schools that really are the backbone of education in the Philippines. They start with the children, and they have the children in their most impressive years. So that when they go to college, they are already, their system had already been established. So there are many problems affecting schools. But another problem affecting schools, legal, on the legal aspect, well, that which I discussed earlier about taxation, that many schools were made to apply for tax exemption ruling, when the truth of the matter is that the Constitution already provides for tax exemption. And there are still some laws that can be implemented properly. Like there are areas in the Philippines where mayor's permit, for example, is being applied for, and the pay is no longer considered reasonable. Mayor's permit is supposed to be a regulatory fee, so it should not be based on income or on the capital or the amount of money that the school gets, but only for purposes of regulation.
I'm Doris Fernandez Ferrer. I'm the Executive Director of the Private Education Assistance Committee, which is the partner of the Department of Education in the management of programs of assistance for private schools. So what are these? Legislated are the Junior High School Educational Service Contracting Program and the Senior High School Voucher Program. So what have these programs brought into the Philippine educational landscape? It has allowed the private schools to participate in the delivery of basic education with state support. However, we think that one of the things that will have to be concretely addressed is the issue of complementarity between public and private schools. It always is a moving target as to how much budget, how many seats will be allocated to the private schools, and it causes some anxiety for the private education sector unless there is some very definite framework that will allow us to operationalize this partnership. Educational service contracting has been lauded by World Bank as one of the most successful PPPs in education. However, much still will have to be done in order to ensure that the slot allocations are rationalized, that the subsidy amounts will be sufficient for the private schools to deliver quality basic education and allow public school students to move to private schools as long as they have ESC subsidy. Now, another issue that is quite problematic, given that there is a lot of budget that's been given to DepEd in the recent years, I think we have solved the problem of access, meaning there are enough seats. Of course, there will be some areas where you still have congestion, but basically we've solved the problem of seats. My real concern is quality. They've always been problematic about the kind of students that we are able to produce at grade 6, at grade 10, and then eventually at grade 12. Pre-K to 12, our data is that on the average, fourth-year high school graduates in the Philippines are at grade 5 level. That is such a dismal performance. But very recently, even if we check around our schools participating in the programs, they see very little difference in the quality of the grade 10 completers moving to grade 11. Even our national achievement test scores still show us that we're not performing very well. So I think it really is a question of quality now, quality delivery. We don't under-deliver. We make sure that when we say our students are grade 10, they are grade 10. When we say that they're grade 12 and college ready, they are college ready. That is a very, very big challenge.
I'm Father Greg Banyaga, formerly the president of Adamson University and now the provincial visitor of the Congregation of the Mission in the Philippine province. I want to talk to you today about the challenges to Catholic education. I think the first one is really how to maintain the Catholic identity of a particular school. This is a challenge because in the face of so many private schools and even public schools, very often our Catholic schools are losing their identity, or people are not really clear about what is really a Catholic school. And we know that a Catholic school should be geared towards the proclamation of the good news of Jesus Christ. And so the center of a Catholic school should be Jesus Christ. That everything that occur in the school, everything that the school does, from the activities to instruction to everything, should always take into consideration its Catholic identity. Now, one of the things that is particularly challenging in this area is how to make religion, the Catholic religion, the core of the curriculum. What we mean by that is that our Catholic faith should have an impact in the way we teach our students. It is actually the center and the unifying force of the different subjects that we have. And here again, the role of the teacher is very important because he or she is the primary bearer of the good news. And the way he or she witnesses to the Catholic faith will make a big difference in the way the students grasp and comprehend the faith. In fact, I would say the way she mirrors the faith will determine the way the students later on will live the faith. So it's very important that the teacher is also a witness to the Catholic faith, because as Pope Paul VI said, the modern man today listens more willingly to teachers or to witnesses rather than to teachers. And if ever he listens to teachers, it is also because they are witnesses. The second challenge actually is with regards to attaining levels of excellence. The Catholic schools are supposed to be distinguished also by a culture of excellence, especially in academics and in other areas. That is why very often when you ask parents why they want to send their children to a Catholic school, they would say because it has very high standards. There is quality education there. Now, of course, when there is quality education, sometimes the downside of it is that it can be very expensive, because to maintain a particular level of excellence, from teachers to facilities to materials and all of that, you need a lot of money for that. And sometimes people, or oftentimes the poor especially, cannot afford to go to these schools. The last one is the social relevance of the Catholic schools. They are supposed to teach and initiate our students towards social responsibility. Very often the challenge here is that the students actually go to school in order to get a diploma, to get their credentials, because they want a better quality of life. They forget that the diploma is actually a great responsibility, and that they are duty-bound to use their talents in order to make a difference in the world. In our world where there is so much poverty, corruption, violation of human rights, etc., Catholic education should make a stand for the faith and for gospel values.
I feel one of the most important priority in education is the child. I believe that that is the reason for our being. Admittedly, along the way, as we tend to manage more organization, we tend to manage more of the resources. Sometimes the focus is on those things. And sad to say, we might get lost. And at the end of the day, we might, our success will be anchored on things that may not be as important, or may be important, but it's not as important as the first one. That is the story of our company, Rex. For the longest time, we've been in the business for 67 years. We've been measuring ourselves on the usual economic matrices, revenues, market share, number of schools, and the like. But at the end of the day, it's only in 2015 that we could say we had a rekindling or an awakening of who we are when we started to ask the real purpose of ourselves. We've been blessed for 67 years, and we felt that it's about time to really ask ourselves, why are we here? And the story of Para sa Bata came. Para sa Bata, it means focusing on the child. While there are many things that are being done to help the schools, to help the teachers, to help everybody, but if it doesn't translate to the betterment of the child, I think all these activities are futile. I also feel that it's not only for the child, and we believe that we have this, in a way, our mission is kapit bisig para sa bata, so that ang para sa bata ay para sa bayan. So I hope I was able to explain who we are. Admittedly, things will be not easy for us because we are going to spaces that we are unfamiliar. But I guess through the Lord's guidance and a clarity of where we want to go and how we would like to impact not only ourselves but the people around us, we hope that one day, when we look back, we would say that we've gone far in our quest to be of help and for the betterment of the child.
We intensify our monitoring and evaluation of all higher education institutions sa regional level, and then yung strat planning namin, it emanates from the central office ang aming mandate.
Executions.
Execution and implementation.
I think yung isang conversation kasi din is sige, may scholarships nga tayo ngayon sa mga state universities, pero ano ba yung available programs na pwede lang enrollan, especially in some municipalities. Minsan kasi, meron kami pinag-aaralan ngayon sa isang region, sa Region 10. Kumbaga, nasa taas sila ng bundok, pero ang ino-offer na programs, sociology, ICIT, information technology, tsaka economics. Parang,
Kailangan ba yan?
How relevant is it to the community?
To that mountain?
And for the people to be able to fulfill their potential. Ikalawa rin siguro dito, yung liban sa access to the programs itself, what type of programs do they have access to? For example, one thing that we want to push for sana is yung mga level 5 na after 2 years, pwede silang mag-exit, makapagtrabaho.
So, Philippine Qualifications Framework.
Kasi di ba ang lifelong learners naman, pwedeng mag-aral, magtrabaho, and this sort of frees them from the burden of having to commit 4 years na napakataas ang opportunity cost, which stops a lot of people from studying. So, making exits from our current curriculum para mababa yung opportunity cost, makapag-aral sila talaga at makabalik at ma-apply nila yung ginagawa nila. Isang discussion kasi yung itayap din, yung equivalency, yung tertiary education equivalencies, which is good because if you work, then it is credited, and then you can find ways to finish your college education. Pero how accessible is it? And in what sectors? Are there the industries na hindi pa available yung ganung type of equivalencies, pero nandun pala yung kailangan, nandun pala yung karamihan ng mga Pilipinong hindi nakapagtapos. So, a deeper study of disciplines, of regions, of sectors, and making sure that we are responding to the needs of the students on the ground na hindi nasa-serve ng mainstream system given overall averages lang ng participation rate. Parang understanding, sino yung hindi nakaka-access, bakit, ano yung problema. So, yung siguro magandang conversation on access yun. Tapos ikalawa nga, yung revision natin ng GE curriculum ngayon and all of these revised curricula. Parang how relevant is it? Is it now more attuned to the needs of the sectors, of the industries, of the jobs that they will be entering? And does it form whole persons? And I think yung formative aspect na yun, wala sa ibang schools, pero sa Catholic schools nandoon. Kasi academic excellence is good, but what will you do with academic excellence if hindi naman nade-direct to nationalism, to nation building yung naaaral nila? And I think that's a critical aspect that we should learn. Does it build good citizens? Does it build informed citizens who know what they will use, what they've studied to advance the country and their communities? So siguro magandang tutukan yun. And sa curriculum, yun siguro yung mahalaga. Kasi that the government hires, kunyari, meron silang parang kumbaga roster of faculty na choice ng government, sinusupport, so government yung magsusweldo, pero pwede silang i-second sa mga higher education institutions.
Sila
Public
mag-assign.
or private.
Sila.
So kunyari, hired siya by government, ito yung best faculty natin, pero sige, you go to this private school in this region. Kami magsusweldo, pero doon ka na kami.
I can only speak at least on the level ng sa internationalization niya, how we would really, our programs now would really push for both not just cross-border education but also strengthen home-based internationalization. As I told you earlier, Father, no, it's not all about going outside, being mobile. There are other means wherein we can have internationalization here within your institutions. And also one of the recommendations that you would really like to, how do you say that? Create a network of GIs for internationalization, really push them for international accreditation, if rankings or the star systems would also be part of that, but at least within the region. But the most immediate really is that we embark on some niche programs here within at least ASEAN and push the leadership of our Philippine institutions on the programs where we can have strength.
I've attended kasi a lot of say-up conversations, and what I always say is there are more things that actually unite us in terms of issues and concerns with the higher education sector than those that separate us from one another or divide us. I think we have a lot of common issues and common interests, and what is important is we don't stop talking to each other and that we have constant dialogue so that we work together on things that we can collaborate on instead of bicker on the small things. So mahalaga na mas mag-collaborate, mag-unite because klaro naman yung mga bagay na ang dami pa natin kailangan gawin for the sector para makapagtulungan tayo to find solutions together.